live on stage. The sound
of Orlando.
So, is they ready?
Yes.
The sound
of Orlando. You know.
What's going on, party people? What is going on? This is the Sound of Orlando show with your boy Rome, and yeah, it is with a heavy heart, man, that I just got the news before we came on that our brother, legendary member of the Fat Boys, Prince Marky D, has gone into paradise. When I'm talking about Prince Marky D and what he's meant to the culture, you know, what it can't be said enough. The man was on Sirius XM, you know, had a great show. A lot of people I know listen to that show. He represented hip hop to the fullest from the beginning. The Fat Boys were my childhood. Everything about the Fat Boys represented what I believe to be, you know, what I thought hip hop was supposed to be. You know, it's very unfortunate that this has happened. You know, we have to leave it in God's hands, obviously. You know, sometimes things happen for a reason. You know, everything happens for a reason, but it's definitely a sad day because the brother, he's meant so much to a lot of people, you know, as a human being, as an MC, you know, and as a pioneer for what we would know to be hip hop. We can't even discuss the hip hop that's going on today without brothers like Prince Marky D. And, you know, so I definitely want to say my prayers and condolences goes out to the family. You know, my prayers go out to Damon, Cool Rockski. I had him on the show. You know, and they were just such great artists, but more importantly, great human beings. It's difficult to talk about the loss of our brothers and sisters sometimes, but I can't do this show without mentioning the contributions of Prince Marky D and what he's meant to the hip hop culture. And I will leave it all with this. Now, my name is Marky D, and I'm on the go. And due to miscalculations, I'm going to let you know that I'm the prince of rap, the king of hip hop. And when my mouth starts moving, I will not stop because I'm all the way live with so much juice. So check out the prince as I start to get loose. Rest in peace, Prince Marky D. We love you. We're sending love out to your family, and we're going to miss you, but we will remember you. Welcome to the Sound of Orlando show. This is your boy Rome. And speaking of legendary and all things hip hop, I'm blessed and honored to have this next guest on. And I got to shout out Jesse Jazz, because he was one of the people that said, hey, you need to have this man on the show. So with that said, you know, shout out to Jesse Jazz, which is one of our sponsors. If you need any kind of printing, any graphic work, seek this man out. He will hook you up. It will be nice, and you will enjoy it. 5stargraphics.com. Jesse Jazz, we love you, brother. But like I said, he definitely, you know, made sure that I knew to put this brother on. And since we talked a few times, I mean, you know, it's kind of like, you know how you talk sometimes to people and they could have been your friends your entire life, and you wouldn't even have known it had you not talked to them. So, I mean, without further ado, this man represents Strong Island, one of the classic records ever broken in hip hop music. Strong Island, my man, B-Luv from the legendary Jvc Force. Let's go, my brother. Welcome to the Soul Show.
DJ Rome, what's up, brother? Boy, you got me feeling like you Steve Harvey. Feeling good.
Nah, man, you all right with me, my brother, for real.
Cheers,
Cheers.
brother. Cheers.
Cheers, my brother. Cheers. And cheers to the family of Prince Marky D. May God be with you all. All right.
Yeah, and also might I add, like, cheers to the whole Crush Groove movement, because I know y'all are feeling the losses from me and the JVC Force. We wish y'all, condolences, and I know the loss is difficult, man. This is a rough one. Some of us seen him the other day, so kind of doing his thing and running with his energy. So the loss was sudden, and wow.
Right. It's crazy, but it's also a reminder that if you have any problems with anybody right now, if you over here worrying about who did this and who did that, man, squash all of that shit, because if that's the only thing preventing you from sending or giving love to your brother and sister or any family member or anybody that make sure that you do that, man, because not only does the world need that, you will be heartbroken to know that one of your family members is gone, and you worried about a card game that pissed you off, or somebody said something that was a little slick. Sometimes those things, are to go in the grave first, not your people. And like I'm really saying is, man, just make sure you love as much as you can, because you never know when somebody's going to leave this planet. So, well, looks like what happened? Oh, we might have lost it for a minute. I think he's coming back. But yeah, that goes out to everybody, man. Shout out to my man, Great Peso. You already know, man. Rest in peace. Shout out to Jesse Jazz. I mean, it's a very difficult time. Jesse just sent a link for some more information if you need it. Go on to the chat, and we're waiting for B-Luv to get connected again. But I do want to, while he's not here, I do want to say that one more time. Cherish the people that you have in your life right now, because tomorrow is not promised. We need more love, less hate. Just find a way. We can find a way to get money. We can find a way to get a job. We can find a way, to keep a cell phone. But let's try to find a way to love each other better, and just, cherish the moments that you have with people, because tomorrow is not promised. We're still awaiting B-Luv to connect back. Okay. Try logging in again, my brother. And shout out to everybody tuning in. This is an important show for various reasons. Orlando needs this. We need this as a culture to talk more, to get our stories out. As you can see, we're not promised tomorrow. So the better that we can get our stories out, the better that we can talk to one another, the better that we can deal with each other a little bit better, the better we all are as a people. This is Black History Month, so we're talking about the history of not only the culture, but the history, of our humanity and what we've meant to this entire experience called America. We're still waiting for him to log back in. If anybody that's tuned in right now knows how Prince Marky D has died, please in the chat, give us some insight on maybe how this has happened. We know these things are sudden, so sometimes we don't get, all of the information at once, and that's fine too. But if anybody knows while this thing is the situation is really unfolding, please put that in the chat. Shout out to Kimberly on the check-in. Yes, we're supporting big bro B-Luv. Come on, the trailblazer. When we're talking about Long Island too, man, Long Island, Strong Island has such a reputation for going against the grain and doing their own thing. Oh, we got them back. Look at that. B-Luv, man, you done made it, man. Brother's gonna work it out.
I don't know, we already broke the internet.
Right. So yes, I was just talking about the contributions or the strength of the contributions when we're talking about Long Island and them going against the grain on so many things and wanting to have their own lane and not trying to be like Brooklyn, not trying to be like Queens, not trying to be like the Bronx. Give us some perspective on what it was like kind of growing up in that Long Island world and having the influences that you may have had around you. Talk about that real quick.
Well, I mean, we had our form of hip hop. To us was funky as everybody else, man, but we wasn't recognized again because when I tell a lot of people, we grew up in houses and we were suburban. So hip hop wasn't at that time yet that they, wanted to recognize anything other than what came out of the city life. If you wasn't from the projects, rode the subway, you as far as hip hop was concerned in the early stages, the labels and everybody else, they looked at it like, how could you tell a story about hip hop and you had this good life? Right. Hip hop was gritty, the subways was dirty, graffiti, but through the years, like I said, they failed to realize that we were kids from the city who maybe's parents, decided to take on an opportunity and move into Long Island from the city after a while, and we were born in the same hospitals they was in, the Brookdales, and so wherever you came from when you ended up in Long Island, chances are you had already lived in the city at some point in time. So if you have family down there, you were going back. So, right. Long Island had the spirit, and we knew what was going on in the city. We just didn't get recognized through because of the lifestyle. So,
right. And hip hop, for that matter, has always been the language or the beginning languages of the youth, and to your point, the street, but the struggle. And life will tell you that the struggle just doesn't reside in the projects. There's people struggling with who they are or the lack of not being recognized for who they are. And that is a struggle. That's, you make a person not feel like they have a voice, that's going to make somebody rebel, i.e., Chuck D. That sound coming out of Long Island, Roosevelt, Amityville, that area. Right. What is he rebelling for? Right. We know what he's rebelling for.
When Rakim dropped that joint, he turned around and he said, "It's not where you from, it's where you at."
Right.
And that's probably the truest statements that ever came out of hip hop, because the thing is that people never really realized that when you came out to Long Island, what you seen was like the houses and different things coming, like you're riding along the highway and you're going out there to the state park, but you're not realizing, like, as soon as you hitting spots like Hempstead and you go deep in and you rolling into Roosevelt and pulling up in between places like Centennial Park, right? If you're not from there, you in real trouble.
Right.
Places like the Terrace in Hempstead and stuff like that, where made it on 2020's most dangerous places, like on television and all kind of stuff. People don't realize that come out of Long Island, but again, it's we run a lifestyle in Long Island that's no different really from the city and different stuff like that. It's just it's geographically different. It looks different.
Well, Tell the truth, brother. That is the damn triple truth because I lived in Kansas City. One of the first things I did when I moved to Kansas City, Missouri, not to be confused with Kansas, was tell my homeboy, say, yo, take me where, all the grit is at. Take me where all the streets is at so that when I'm pushing through here, I know my landmarks. I know where I'm at, And so we spent pretty much the first week of me moving there, just kind of, looking through the city. And I'm like, yo, dude, when you going to take me to the hood? And he's like, we in the hood. I was like, hood? It's like 2-story houses, and this is all nice looking. He's like, don't you get it twisted. And for the West Coast, a lot of that's the same way. People live in houses. What the hell are you banging about?
Hey, right? I used to go back to Brooklyn, right? And I used to tell cats that I came up with in Brooklyn that you come to Long Island and stuff like that, we got places in Long Island, like, Brentwood and Central Islip was one of the same. So, we had people that was like, we had like Jesse Jazz is telling me right now, we had Carlton Park, Regis Park, Straight Path and Wyandanch. Like I say, areas that you just didn't want to really get caught up in because there was a lot of cats up there and a lot of mischief getting ready to go down. But, to the credit of my city, Central Islip, man, I probably hadn't seen nowhere like, man, listen, Carlton Park in its days was about as notorious as Chicago's Cabrini Green, like one way in, and when you ain't from there, you in trouble.
All right. Talk about it, man. And, to your point, once again, it ain't where you're from.
Look, don't use that payphone on the corner.
Right. It ain't where you from, it's where you at, and those things may look. Ghetto is a mind frame, it's a mindset. It is not a place.
Brentwood.
Right. He's saying I grew up in Regis Park. Yep. Shout out to Jess.
So you already know. What's up, Jess?
Yep.
5 star.
So you're growing up in that environment, and once again, it feels like y'all are in a different place. Y'all don't, y'all may not be getting the respect from the rest of the city that way. What moved you into hip hop to give the people that voice? I mean, because I could relate to that Strong Island song in a lot of ways because we feel the same way about Orlando. Having that, Miami gets all the love, or sometimes you get it from Tampa, but sometimes we don't have that voice to say, hey, we're from here. And so, I love that underdog story. I love it because it just makes for better artistry. Talk about what that was that drove you into hip hop.
Well, when I first moved to Long Island, I was coming out of Brooklyn, and I actually didn't understand where I was going to because, really, to be honest with you, when we drove from Canarsie, which was right close to like Brownsville in Brooklyn, and we went all the way up to Southern State, we paid a toll back in them days. Like, I think we paid like 25 cents to go through at exit 13 to come up.
Southern State. Parkway, highway,
right. So we paid 25 cents to go through this toll, and we drove all the way up to 43 North.
Wow.
And when I got out there, I was like, wait a minute. We stopped at this home. It was like model homes then. Your parents went and stopped and checked out the model home, and the one guy, took you to a home and showed you where like the development was going to come. And we ended up in a new development. When I first got out there, I was leaving all my friends from Brooklyn and stuff like that, all my family and everything. So I was like, man, it felt like we was in Canada or something. I was like, we far away. I was like, man, everything I knew, it was gone. So coming through Long Island, man, and I want to bring the story in this way with you, because we're going to do this the right way tonight.
I heard that, brother.
SOO. Long Island, the home team, everything. We're going to do this the right way. When I got to Long Island and I was 5 years old and I didn't know nothing else, I met this man right here. Bring him in. AJ Rock. Bring
Let's
him
give
in.
it up for AJ Rod. Let's go. What's going on, my brother? Let's see here. There he is. There we are.
Yes.
What's going on, my brother?
What's up?
Welcome to the Sound of Orlando show. Welcome to Orlando, my brother.
No doubt.
Salute.
My partner in rhyme, B-Luv.
Hey, rapper number 2, AJ Rock. What
I
up?
do want to, if I can, I do want to give my condolences as well to Prince Marky D. I had an opportunity or two to interview him when he was a solo artist. After when he did the solo thing.
Right.
So I got to know. I ain't gonna say we were friends, but I got to know him a little bit. So
Right.
I just wanted to give my condolences.
And just a quick update. According to Lorraine Lopez, his manager said he died of congestive heart failure.
Yeah, all hip hop reported that as well. And shout out to Lorraine Lopez, my lovely co-host on my radio show.
Okay, thank you, Lorraine.
Thank you, Lorraine.
But yeah,
But
that's
DJ Rome. We go with DJ Rome.
yes.
We want to encourage all of the rappers. If you sign in any kind of paperwork with anybody, man, and you get ready to turn around and sign 34, 50 pages or digitally, whatever you're going to do, and turn your life over into the hands of somebody and be that big,
Right.
make sure that you realize that you are an employee of them and that they deserve to give you your medical, your benefits, and everything else. There's too many rappers out there in this game that ran around for years and made millions of dollars, but the labels never thought to go ahead and think of their health, their dental, things like that.
Well, do you think that's a label issue? That labels, I mean, and I'm saying this rhetorically because I know the answer to this, but I'm saying it rhetorically. Is it the label's responsibility or profitable? Let's just use a nicer word, profitable for the label to care about their artists. Because I say that, let me finish. I say that under the guides that for some reason, given all of what an artist is expected to do, perform, very few hours of sleep, constantly in the studio, working, you would think just based on that, and people slave at McDonald's, people slave at normal jobs all day, and they'll at least give you benefits. Why is it that record labels refuse to offer benefits to their artists as a form of compensation?
Can I get in on that?
Yes, please.
I worked with Wendy Day from the Rap Coalition, and that was one of the things she was fighting for. And what the label's position was, it's like you're like a contractor, like you're an independent contractor. You're not an employee of the company, and that's how their loophole. That's how they get away with that.
Right, but technically they're right. They
Absolutely.
are a partnership. It's a partnership. It's not necessarily an employee based. Once it becomes an employee, it's when an artist takes on, similarly to like a 360, where they take an advance as a down payment on their future work, and they have to work that money off that they took. But I mean, you would think artist, shout out to Roxanne Shante, because her story said, well, if I'm going to sign this contract, you're going to put me through school. Right. But most artists, and we all have some part of that. I believe as a community, as a people, we encourage these people to go after the money, which if you're a worker, the most expensive insurance is the one for businesses.
Right.
That's because there's not enough people involved in a part of what makes insurance cheap is when you have a collective of people. Everyone's paying into it. Right. And so, but we've created a culture within hip hop that supports this idea of fuck that man, fuck his money. I ain't giving him shit. And as a result, we're all trying to figure out this health issue, which how many years can somebody go on tour and live out of a bag and that not affect them?
So let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I look at. You have rock groups out there for years that has gotten these things because they've known to say our contract is renegotiable. So there's certain things that we're going to turn around and we'll ask for because we know at the end of the day that this is what we want to do for the rest of our life. So certain things you got to give us is in our future. It's up to rappers to turn around when they get to that position to turn around and they sell that. If you're selling millions of records for somebody and you making money, you got to turn around sometimes and tell them the things that you feel like they're responsible for. I look at it as if I'm an artist on your label and I'm selling that many records, I'm selling you millions and millions of records. This is my job with you. So at some point in time, it's up to me to negotiate the fact that it's up to me to negotiate the fact that I need these things. But if I'm going to work for you and that's my 24/7, I think it's up to you too to turn around and listen to me and make that point to the renegotiable facts, because these are things that I'm going to need down the line.
Well, can I say this?
Yeah.
And shout out to Spike Lee and that great movie Malcolm X that he made, because within that movie, there's one of those sound bites that you just can't unsee, you can't unhear, and you can't unexperience, which was, get your hand out of my pocket.
Right.
The idea of what you're talking about is not, here's where we go wrong. Once again, we have this concept as people, as everyone is on their own. But when something bad happens, now we all need to come together. Well, we should have did that before something bad happens.
Right.
I.e., the idea of unionizing. Like there should not be one artist out here in the country that is not represented under union type constructs.
And that's my point. Rap music turned around and generated the most money out of any music or any genre of music that has ever come about. When music was suffering, commercials and everything turned around and generated rap music. More artists came back. More R&B artists came back when hip hop came about and started, coming through the sample-friendly era. More performances, more money. Somebody was making that money. So
we know who was making that money, man. You know who was making that money.
Yeah, and I understand that, things may not be as practical as they should be. But at some point in time, the discussions, should have been had. And
we as a people would have
been had.
Well, we as a people have so many things against us that we celebrate. We celebrate greed. Yeah. We celebrate hatred. The idea that this nigga here did everything on his own, by himself, no help. We celebrate that instead of the idea, the concept that when things are good are the very moments in which we should come together. Not when things are bad, it's too late. If it is black music, then there should be a black music union. That nothing, a dime don't get sold in a park without us getting an entire cut. What is that cut? We're talking about, we're waiting on a Biden to give us universal health care.
We can't wait on that.
Right. When in actuality, as artists, we should all be already institutionalizing that as artists, because these artists not only have the dollars to combine to go to, let's say, whatever healthcare company is out there as a collective. I'm talking about songwriters, producers, engineers, artists, vocalists, whatever makes up this thing we call records should be involved, videos, all of it as a collective. If for any other reason, maybe while we're saying it's black music, then black people got to represent that in its totality. Yeah, we might not ever get to spend that insurance money, but what we're doing is providing our legends, our heroes, people that we want to keep around maybe a few more years, the ability to entertain us. Because go ahead, Jay. I see you want to say something. Go ahead.
I don't, at some point, since we've been in the business for a while, and we've seen, I've been a writer, I've done other things. We've seen the business switch. At some point, self-preservation has to kick in, and we have to think for ourselves. When nobody's going to give you nothing, what happens is with these athletes and with these rappers and these artists, they pick these kids from communities where they really don't have no money. And at that age, let's keep it real. At that age, we think we're going to live forever. We ain't worried about no life insurance, no pensions. We think this money's coming in forever. And there's nobody really mentoring you, teaching you about the business. And that's where a lot of the mistakes are. They just worry about making money off of you. They're not trying to teach you nothing, and that's where a good manager comes in, and you have to have a good, you have to put together a good team that can teach you that. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, if you ain't got insurance, you got to get your own insurance, but
Right. But once again, we depend on the concept of depending on people and their best position, right? So Puff, for example, shout out to Puff. Puff obviously is very successful. He's made the money. So as most things, we expect him to do more. But
it's not
we know the shit from being poor, right? When you're poor, your money works better as a collective to get things done. You bring the community together to get things done. You're not depending on one person to do one thing. You're depending on everyone. And if everyone don't pull their weight, they can't benefit in what we're talking about. And eventually they're going to get mad about that, and they're going to want to contribute now. Let's i.e. Vegas. One of the biggest trades in America is service. Music is service, first of all. It's streaming. It's a service. Serving in Vegas out of any other city, they said, you know what? Damn that. We're going to give these servers benefits. They're going to have a union. You can't just do whatever the hell you want to them and fire them, and they're not going to have another job. Now, servers, which is what we do as hip hoppers, we serve up beats, we serve up rhymes, we serve up ideas, culture, fashion, we serve up all this stuff. How the hell are we not unionized yet? How the hell are we not, in a sense, a hip hop union that in order to get said artists, certain things have to be met. If you're going to sign these contracts, if these artists are going to sign these contracts, you as a company can't just be putting out any old contract. The contract got to go through the union, and the union has got to approve what you're trying to do.
Or even if you want me as an artist, because I'm that hot, I'm sure that at some point in time, if there's certain things that I want, you will work it out for me to have it.
Right.
And it's in the beginning stages. And that's my point from the beginning of it. Because again, there's things as artists that we don't ask for. Like, I agree with all the topics, but we chase the bag. And we chasing the bag, and they show us that money. It's like gentrification.
Right.
Somebody seeing more money than they ever seen in their life, so they give up their house for little to nothing.
Right, because they don't have, once again, and I love what you said about this idea of having people to kind of help make things happen. Well, i.e. managers, right? Because people do have teams, they just may have a corrupt team. A union prevents that shit from happening, because if they're trying to do some slick shit, it not only affects that artist, but affects every other artist. Think about what DJs say, right? When a DJ goes to play for a club and he says, yeah, I'll take $50. That fucks up.
He's tearing up the other DJs.
The other DJs, so when they come in, they got to negotiate from the bottom.
Right. If I'm not going to be working while I'm doing your, and that's one of the things, like, you know, going to the story of JVC.
Yes.
You know, collectively, all of us had careers going through the years.
Yes.
So perhaps some of the woes and the issues that other artists had going on through the years, maybe, you know, it was a little easier for us to have, you know, benefits and things because of the way our life was structured. But at the end of the day, the same way that I may have a job and I'm going to work for you every day, and because I'm your responsibility, you're responsible for giving me certain things. If I'm an artist to where you're gonna have on the road forever,
right?
You know, I get it, but I should turn around and look at you and be able to say, look, part of my contract, if you want to sign me, need to have medical benefits, this, that, and the third. People done got things out of their contract in hip hop because their parents was just that savvy and knew, you know what, I'm gonna demand this much for my kid, and if you want my kid, you're gonna give us this. And they did things investment wise and did other things. So these labels, if they really wanted somebody, they would have turned around, and if the artist asked, you know what, I want medical and I want benefit. And for those that work, whether it had to be a Cobra benefit or any kind of benefit, they would have brought it for you to make them records.
Right. If anybody,
and if you was hot, and you said this is what I want, and they said no, if you hot, somebody else gonna come for you.
Right.
Like look at the Wu-Tang, look at the Wu-Tang contract. Wu-Tang was one of the first groups. Like when you sign a label as a group, you also sign as an individual. But Wu-Tang signed a contract, since there was 9 members, where they could each get individual contracts as solo artists. But that's because their people asked for that. You understand what I'm saying? I remember the movie Ray Charles, when he asked for his masters, they said, yo, nobody get a contract like that. He said, yo, nobody else ever asked. Like, at some point, people are not going to give you something that you don't ask for. Right. If you don't know to ask, that's another subject. That's another whole thing. But so that's the problem right there.
And part of that unionizing is to allow a spot, a place, like actors. They're in unions to protect the integrity of what it costs an actor to go out for these movies and to risk certain things, risk their health, go into certain situations. It's known from the door, and there's a structure or an infrastructure there to give that information. A lot of us go in blind. We don't know what the fuck to look for. I mean, there's so much pressure and so much things going on that by the time you do all your due diligence, to your point, hot right now, that shit can mean hot means like 5 minutes now, you know, and it's forgotten. You guys had the benefit of something being hot and it being hot for like 2 years, you know, something that's really hot. It's moving, it's jumping. This now it's like hot can mean, you know, this week, you know, and then it's forgotten. So if they don't say yes, you know, to something that may be foolish, but gets them in the door, these are the pressures that are because they're going in blind. We've taken the representation of us out of the equation. Not only does hip hop represent, you know, people of color, but it represents the idea of things that are broken, poverty, the struggle. And if you don't have any solid representation of a collective of people, a collective of ideas, some sort of representation, not only like, let's say somebody from Long Island.
Don't forget the Latinos that share that.
Right. You damn right.
Right.
Go ahead. Continue.
So that was the beautiful thing about JVC. So like B came from Brooklyn. So he had that Brooklyn flavor, the everything that comes with Brooklyn. I was born in Mount Vernon. You know what I'm saying? Right next to the Bronx. So we had that certain flavor, and you had the crews like Cold Crush and all of them. You know what I'm saying? And the tapes and all that, and that was coming. And combined together, it was that great combination. It was that great collective that made us what we were. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I just wanted to add that out there. It was our combined experience that made us what we were.
And to give credit to different places, spaces, and faces, this is one of those examples. If you look at the legacy of Long Island and what it's produced, what's come out of Long Island is that kind of grown up perspective. Everything grown up approaches. And I don't know if it's the houses. I don't know if there's because of the house called Amityville that was in a damn horror movie. I don't know what it is. All I know is the legacy that's come out of the rock hymns, the PEs, the Dr. Dre's, the Ed Lovers, JVC Force, EPMD, like these particular representations of grown-ups. Shit, I thought EPMD were grown-ups. I mean, even when they came out, I was just like, God damn, who the hell are these guys? But it had a grown-up sense about it. Like, it was about business.
It was laid back. It was laid back. Long Island was about Long Island. Our lifestyle allowed us to lay back.
Right.
And when we spit and when we did what we had to do, even when Rakim turned around and he came through with it, the first real aggressive rap group that started really coming through Long Island was Public Enemy. And again, that was the first rap group coming out of Long Island that through hip hop, period, was able to turn around and probably like wear out like an arena. I don't ever remember Public Enemy really performing in small places. But, the music diversity that was coming out of Long Island, like I said, the city, when we went out to the city, they was rocking like a lot of the breaks and stuff like that and the parties and stuff. And, Long Island, we grew up listening to a lot of different music, back in them days when you was coming through the 70s and all, and you had soft rock music and you had the early stages of hip hop. Yeah, we was dragging that through, but, we had a different dimension to where, back then, like I said, nobody was sitting back like, there's really good rock songs. And, we was listening to all of that stuff. So the artist that was coming out of Long Island, when it came to a sample friendly era, we went for records that people wouldn't think of. Like we wasn't going for the sings. We wasn't going for, different break beats that was out there, NT and different things for those beats and stuff. We were going to the actual, these records, and we were sampling and really working ourselves into those because, when you get somewhere, Long Island was a lot of fun growing up.
Right.
There was some real times that was going on, but some of the realest relationships, like where me and AJ meet, we met at 5 years old. So wow. This is more than a decade worth of conversation, really sitting here on some real talk.
Right.
But when you come through Long Island and you say to yourself, like, you know what, this is lifestyle. By the time you reach 18 or 19 years old, there's a whole life story that went with certain songs. And you're saying to yourself, like, you know what, this song is almost like it did a lot through my life and stuff. And you feel it. And in Long Island as artists, anytime we went into the studio and we dropped a song, we felt it. And, we were on our own mission. We weren't never out to compete with anybody, but it just kind of worked out that, like, our music started coming out unique. And, there's a lot of diversity out there. Like I said, a lot of different people and a lot of different cultures. And Long Island gave us an opportunity to really integrate with people of different colors and have friends of like all races and everything. So music-wise, culture-wise, and everything like that, it really showed in what we was doing. You know what I mean?
And I think
it also you have, when you're looking at a time where everything came from the 5 boroughs at the time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just kind of like how they felt on the West Coast. Like you had to be from the 5 boroughs. Like the West Coast felt like you had to be from New York. You know, Mount Vernon made a little bit of noise, a little bit in the Rochelle, but it was like Long Island was, even the Long Island artists that were from Long Island that were making noise, they wasn't really rocking that we from Long Island. I mean, Rakim said rough enough to break New York from Long Island, and Chuck
Right.
D, which we sampled in Strong Island, said Strong Island where I got him wildin'. But we were the first one to take that, to coin that phrase, to give it identity, to give it pride that you could come from here and you could rep from here and you could do it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Strong Island, from what I heard from a lot of younger cats, that's what Strong Island was from them. Because they finally, same thing like if you talk to the West Coast cats, when they finally seen Easy and them doing it, they felt good, you know, because they were being represented. We represented the area code, you know, like everybody else did, and it wasn't from, you know, 212 and 718, and it was different. And then you saw more Long Island artists start mentioning Long Island a little bit or Strong Island a little bit in their songs. You know what I'm saying? Like, but before that, there were Long Island artists, but you didn't necessarily know if you wasn't from Long Island that they was from Long Island. They were just dope artists. You thought they was from the city too. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was the beautiful thing with the creation, what we did, what me and B were able to do. I mean, B came up with the concept and everything, and did a lot of the lyrics. But you know, it was just that flavor. And the other thing about Long Island, because it wasn't the city and we had to work harder, all of those groups you named, they each had a different sound. You know,
Right.
De La didn't sound like nobody when they came out. You know what I'm
Hell
saying?
no.
Public Enemy had their own thing. Rakim had his own thing, rocking for the five, you know, the gods and the earths. You know, everybody had their own. You could hear a song and you'd be like, yo, that's so and so. You know what I'm saying? You knew that. Now I went to Atlanta, I came back. I was like, I heard a song. I said, yo, that's the Locks. No, that's not the Locks. I heard 10 songs in a row that sound like the Locks. None of them was the Locks.
Nope.
Like back then you had that originality. And Long
Right.
Island, you had to prove yourself a little more because you wasn't from the boroughs. So, you know.
Right.
You know, let me say this, Rome. You know.
Oh,
what's
shout to
funny
Leaders too. They brought that cold crust flavor and everything.
Yeah,
Yes.
leaders
So I gotta shout them. I
was-
just seen
And-
Carlton. Shout to Carlton
And-
Dozier from CI. He said and everybody had their own little thing, you know.
Hey, C Brown, what up? Dink, what up? Bus, what up? Hey, but let me say this though. While AJ just said something a moment ago, I'm younger than AJ. So the thing is that AJ had more of a kind of like a streetwise kind of way about him and did more things and was allowed to do more things than I was allowed to do at a younger age. Friendship with him allowed me to do a lot of stuff that I wasn't even supposed to be into.
Right.
You know? So when I say that, I say to him, like, you know, I might have wrote a lot of things and I might have sat down and I might have gave a lot of things. And this is how we came about our business, like growing up together. But a lot of things that I had learned from him gave me the inspirations to write. Because when I came from Brooklyn, I came up to Long Island, you know, you go back and forth for a while, back to Canarsie and places like that. But after a while, you know, now you posted in Long Island, you enrolled in school. So you in school. So what you're going to learn now is from what's around you. So like being friends with him, it gave me an opportunity, like, because he was older, like I said, he took me into a lot more situations that allowed me to be a lot more grown than I actually was. So I seen a lot of things through him. Like I said, he's the first cat. He lives a half a block, not even. He lives about 500 feet from the long wall, if anybody knows, the side wall. He's the first cat I knew young, and he went through there. And not only did he clean the whole wall off in the night with the spray paint, but when you woke up in the morning, right, he done tagged the whole wall. So being with him, and like we were talking about before this interview, getting stranded in the nighttime and the car getting towed and different things and he knew the subway to take us into Mount Vernon, so we had somewhere to sleep until the Long Island Railroad ran again at 5 a.m. Because you remember it used to cut off.
Shout out to the Long Island Railroad.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
So I just want to say, to this man sitting next to me, man, again, we sitting here like this is 50 years of friendship. Again, his daughter's my goddaughter. People don't realize these things with JVC, but there's reasons why in life we never did a lot of things. We knew that we was going to be that sacrificial group. We knew we was the group that was on the weakest label back then. We knew we was the group that was fighting for everything, but we knew we had the impact of the anthem. So coming through the years, how we would preserve the legacy would be important, because you can play all sorts of stuff in Long Island, but at the end of the day, right, if you really know hip hop, your ace of spades is playing the Strong Island. So you can't say Long Island without saying, Strong Island, and say it. So we just had to realize that we didn't have the same opportunities, because the things we were doing, the labels we were on, because we were young and naive, we weren't going to have the same opportunities as people, but there was going to be a way to preserve the legacy. And people ask us all the time, again, why didn't you do videos? Why didn't you do all of this stuff? No, that truly wasn't us. We was low-key dudes. We really just loved hip-hop and was making music because we loved it. We didn't expect that somebody was going to say, hey, y'all are really, really this fresh and we're going to sign y'all. We was like every other crew. We had our crew on the block. We was going to make our music. But the thing is, again, is that when we do this, we did it throughout the years because we loved it. And, a lot of things couldn't come out of it at the end of the day, though, unless, we loved each other. And, we are here. And a lot of our personal moments in life, like I say, with, like the kids and, it's things like that, like I said, that people don't realize because they don't know the full story of JVC. But we have a very deep picture. All our life, we walked in and out of each other's house like we never had to ring no bell and stuff. We was always family. It was always okay. And this is the thing, 50 years later, to preserve the legacy, the best thing we could have did as a group was really, to be honest with you, stay away and not spread ourselves too thin, because, there is a lot of stories and good stuff and stuff like that. But, the Strong Island and different things, we realized a long time ago that we weren't the people's carrying it no more. This thing was loved by more than just Long Island. The city was loving it. Like, you know what? Wow, this record, who is this? Like, yo, but this is fly. Europe was like, so it carried by the people. And once we realized that, wow, there was a South Bronx, there was a there was a South Bronx and a Bridges over and a bridge. And then there's a Strong Island. And we're like, yo, we strong in that game on anthems.
Well, Brooklyn's in the house.
Yeah,
that joint was everything for Brooklyn at the time. When Wu claimed Staten Island, that was everything for that for Staten Island. Anytime
because most people don't know the Force MDs was actually the first one from Staten Island.
Right.
Most people don't even know that. Like, they think of Staten Island only for Wu-Tang. It was the Force MCs / MDs that was the first ones to put it on the map. But they never said Staten Island in their music.
Right. To JVC's business model, you seen a lot of people come out of Long Island, but were reluctant to ever mention where they were from. So technically, they're from New York. We get that. But we didn't know where the fuck they were from. And we deal with that in Florida. We deal with that in Orlando. A lot of great MCs out here. A lot of great artists. And you never know. Are they from here? They never said anything. I don't hear I don't even hear the idea sometimes of what you've seen. Like, I'm coming straight out of Compton. I mean, NWA could have stopped right after that record, and that record would still bump today, because when you think Compton, you don't think any other song other than Straight Outta Compton to this day. And same with like Cleveland, Bone, came out saying Cleveland all over their records, and they didn't have to. They could have came out of Compton and no one would have known the wiser, But it's artists that say that that do that make the longevity. They open doors for artists they're never going to ever meet. Because without them doing that, taking that risk and saying, we're gonna name the city. We call it the whole city out. It's a wrap, because most artists will continue to just look at them. And we were just talking about that with the health benefits. But the same thing applies with if you claim the city, you're opening doors. You're saying that it's okay to be from here. How important is that?
Let me tell you something.
You had the same thing. I'm from Mount Vernon, so you had the same thing with Hev. When Hev put Mount Vernon on his back, like everybody knows, you can't think about Mount Vernon without thinking Heavy D at this point. You can't even mention Mount Vernon without mentioning him.
Right.
Shout out to Doug McBride, another CI, my CI brother, and he's tuned in. I just want to say one thing. I'm real honored that we just celebrated the 33-year anniversary of Strong Island. And there's still people loving this song for rhymes that we did in the studio 34 years ago. And this in this day and age, sometimes people ain't checking for artists what they did 6 months ago. So the fact that, people are still it's the people keeping us alive. And when people say, I love that song and I just played that song on my playlist, that's the first thing I say. Thank you for keeping the name alive. Because it's the people that kept the name alive all this time. It was like they just kept playing the song and kept loving the song and kept playing it and getting new generations of people to love the song. And it's an honor that there's people listening to words we did in a studio 34 years ago. And I just want to put that out there. I'm always honored when we 33-year anniversary. That's a beautiful thing.
Talk your shit, brother. Talk your shit.
Hey, you know what?
It's the truth.
Hey, you know what? And I'm gonna talk that shit, and I'm about to give like a SOO moment because I've been this, so I know
please, my brother.
Hold on. So as he says, for 33 years ago, right, we were sitting in the studio, right, and we didn't know what was gonna go on, right, and the final mix, we had just finished Strong Island. We had just recorded it. And how back then you listen to the master, you listen to the final mix.
Right.
So, now we coming off the half inch and we going on to the quarter inch and we about to mix it down to that.
Shout out to all my DAT users.
Hey, when I tell you, right? Listen, when I tell you this thing started, we played and we was listening to it, right? And me and him looked at each other. And we didn't know what was going on at that time. But the way we was feeling this song, right?
Right.
The label had already gave us some money and stuff. Man, when we sit in the studio, right, and we was in there at the end of about the third verse going into the fourth verse of that song, we started to throw the money in the air. Because it was just a feeling. And the funny thing is that we didn't know that the record was going to be as big as it was going to be. But for some odd reason, right, we knew that we had something that was going to represent the city.
Right.
And the sound of it, it let us know that it was happening. When I looked at him, because it was a long night, mind you now, we never recorded before like 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
So this is like 3 o'clock in the morning. Women in the studio, fuzzy navel, Fruginet black champagne bottles. Back then, we was young and on a budget, drinking the cheap shit. We in there partying, And then we recorded the whole song. And then when the final song played, to us it was like, yo, something about what this song sounds like. And for days after, because AJ lived close enough to me to where I could run around the corner in my pajamas, talk to him, come back home. But for days, we kept saying, that song. New Year's Eve night, 1988, at a friend's house, all of us together. The ball counting down. All of a sudden now, at midnight, the ball drops for New York City. And then Red Alert plays Strong Island.
Yeah.
So the ball is dropping, and as soon as the ball is dropping at 12:01, you seeing the ball coming down the pole, and that's where it started for us.
Wow. What year was this again? Tell the people.
1988.
1988. What a good
January
year
1st.
for hip hop, man.
31 years ago.
Yeah.
33 years ago.
Yeah, and we were all together like we always do. You know where we were when that record came out? You know where we were?
Where we at?
We was in Brentwood.
Wow.
We was in Brentwood at a friend's house in Brentwood. Because like I say, Brentwood and CI ain't no different. If you coming down the highway and Brentwood is the upper chest and CI is the lower torso, Suffolk Avenue is the main vein that runs straight through.
Wow.
So we was in Brentwood, and anybody from CI and Brentwood know, you know what? It was one of the same. You had friends from, and this is where we experienced the Strong Island first. Even being from CI, we was in a home in Brentwood. That's where it started.
And what was that like hearing Red Alert? Because anybody that knows Red Alert back in them days on 98.7 Kiss, you hear that record play for about a good 10 minutes. And
Yo, I have to give all due props to Red Alert. He must have played that one record for like 3-4 years.
Right.
And I used to hear people complain about Red Alert. He played the same records over and over, but it was the people who wasn't in that rotation that would get played. I have finally met Salt and Pepper. I had the pictures of Salt and Pepper on my wall from Word Up and all that. I have finally met Salt and Pepper, and I went up to them and was like, "Yo, I'm AJ from this group Jvc Force. I don't expect you to know who I am, but I wanted your autographs," and I had them give me their autographs. And they bugged me out. They was like, "Yo, I know who you are because we listen for your song every week because our song is next." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." I thought they was blowing smoke up my butt. But the next Saturday when she was right after our song, their song played, and I was bugging that they knew who we was. Like, yo, that was like crazy. So so it was an amazing feeling. And Red gave us mad love, and he played it. Well, he's the first to play it. He played it even after nobody else was still playing it. He was still playing it, and we did a promo for him while we were in between label deals, and he played that for a year. And people used to be like, "Yo, I love your new song." It was like this rap promo we did for Red Alert. He played that forever, and people thought that was the new song coming out.
Right. And I can't say this enough about MCs out there, because you hear this all the time. MCs complaining, or just artists in general complaining that they can't get on the radio. Do a radio promo. You're gonna be on the radio nonstop.
But you know something wrong?
And you know what? And we didn't do the regular promo. Yo, This is B, this is A. Yo, we listening to my man Red Alert. We did like a 1.5 minute rap. We kicked the beat. You know what I'm saying? Verse and a half each. We was spitting about Red, and it was dope. And Red played that, and people thought it was a record. Like, yo.
Hey, listen. Even when you go on to like Stretch Armstrong and you listen to the Stretch Armstrong and Barbito the Barber promos and stuff, you realize anytime JVC gave cats from New York City a promo because their radio show was hot, it wasn't no talking like AJ said. These promos, even when we gave Stretching them, their promo was about 1 minute and 35 seconds. Like, we was rapping. Like, we sat down and wrote these promos because we was like, these is the hottest cats in New York City.
Right.
So, and that's the least we could do, since they was giving us so much love.
We can't speak to them. We're gonna get in their own song.
That's everything, man. Artists should be doing that. Because shout out to all my dance hall reggae artists. Part of the Sound Clash experience is them doing pretty much DJ promos the entire Clash. That's all they're doing. That's everyone's jumping up and down to hear who's doing the next radio promo of that DJ, and they're doing it. And that's what you want. If you want exposure, sometimes it isn't the song. Sometimes you got to give them something else so that the DJ could just hear you and hear you enough to where, oh man, I'm playing this right before they song.
And hear you talking about them. Everybody loves something with their name in it.
Right.
Everybody like we could that could have been a single. That literally could have been a single.
Right.
Most people like, I'm not gonna waste my rhymes. That's a song. That could have been a single, but we was just showing our love to Red for all he did for us. Like,
well, Red Alert put out an album with a lot of those radio promos.
Right. He got an album of promos, yeah.
It's an album and so shout out to Red Alert, who just
even when you realize something, right, and you realize that JVC Force, right, we never did videos or nothing, but you go through the errors and you go past through the Red Alerts, who started us. And then you get to the Funkmaster Flexes, who recently online with Red Alert just mentioned, he said, and this was his statement. He said, you felt important when a rapper went ahead and mentioned your name on a record. And he said the first group that ever mentioned him on the record was JVC Force on big tracks. Funkmaster Flex rocks the house.
Yeah.
So, coming through those days and even making those records like prior to these artists and stuff, man, we mentioned these DJs on these records before a lot of these artists and did these promos for these DJs in these formats because we respected them.
Right.
Absolutely understanding that as kids, we probably, unlike other rap groups, looked at the business and all. We loved what we was doing, and we just, when other people talk the money and all of that stuff, we talk more, what are we going to put out to get on the radio? Right. So we were never really in it for the love of the money. So for people like that, we put out those songs, we put their names on the songs and stuff, and for them to come back after all of these years and say, hey, JVC Force was the first group to go ahead and mention me on a record, and then I felt important. That's more of a privilege to us personally than like a platinum plaque.
Right. Talk about it, brother.
Better in the game.
No doubt. And there was a time when years go by and they be like, yo, y'all should do a record together. The vibe of the original three, the vibe between the group wasn't the same. And it was like, I didn't want to just do something to just fake the funk for the, just to do something. I wanted to, if we wasn't gonna come the way we came for the fans, I didn't even want to do it. I mean, even when I left the group or whatever, and I was working on, I loved hip hop too much. I had seen too many former group members go out and make records, and they were dope, but they was never as dope as the group. And I loved hip hop that much that I didn't want to do that to hip hop.
Right.
I thought I could have did it, you know what I'm saying? But I just didn't want to be another former group member just trying to make a name for himself. Like, we came in as a group, the formula, the sound, everything. I didn't want to do that. I just loved hip hop too much. I know that sounds crazy, but I loved hip hop too much that I didn't even want to do that.
Well, actually, it doesn't, because to this day, Public Enemy is still Public Enemy.
Right. And it still has that feel. They older. It still has that feel. You still get that radical whatever. Fight the Power is gonna live forever. Every time there's a march, a rally, something, Fight the Power is gonna live forever.
They didn't have to release one more damn record after Public Enemy #1.
Yeah,
they could have stopped right then and there, and that would have been legendary.
I want to. Can I give a shout out to one more person too?
Yes.
I want to shout out Wild Man Steve at Adelphi University, because he was one of the cats that, again, outside of Red Alert playing it on on Kiss FM, he was one of the first to ride with us. And even when people wasn't riding with us no more, he continued to show that love. And to this day, he still is on radio in Long Island, and he calls it Strong Island Radio, and he still plays our music to this day. So I just wanted to shout out Wild Man Steve. There was a lot of DJs that gave us love, but I can't talk. We can't forget Red. I can't forget him.
And that's so important that he is doing that, because that is the business model. That is celebrating history every day, every year. You're going to know who the hell is from that town. That business model needs to be shared in every city across the country, because to your point, music is one way that we get our news, and it's been that way. We get to know the lay of the land from the songs that we hear. Yeah, if shit is whack, then maybe outside is whack, or maybe that club is whack, or maybe the project is whack. Whatever.
You know what? Hey, you know what? I want to say this to you, Rome. I want to say this. Before I go any further on this show tonight, or before we go any further on this show tonight, before I forget, I want to tell everybody, and I want to say thank you for having a platform that you have for artists. This is not the standard interview, and I want people to understand that. This is not the regular, what you hear at JVC. We can go in any direction at this point in time. Times has came far because of people like Rome pushing to do certain things. We are, as a group, especially thankful and had gotten ready for the night. You see how we matching and all, right?
I heard that, my brother.
Ready for the night, because for the home team, for Long Island, for all over everything, for everybody that stood for hip hop, for people like him,
right,
who turned around and allowed platforms like this to come about to where we could tell our story that's much more than the standard stories. What we want to tell people again is that this man has given us an opportunity to let you know who we are as people, talk the way we want to talk. And we want to appreciate him first and foremost before we go any further. Because without platforms like this, JVC is truly a group to where, again, I'm not too prideful to say that we didn't have the same opportunities as like a lot of major groups.
Right.
You can't be when you open up a door. There were people that came behind us that got opportunities. We don't feel any kind of way, we don't look at it, we love groups from Long Island. That's where we're from. We love all hip hop. But again, coming back and allowing us to tell our story as we're such a undeveloped group, I have to give 100 salutes, 3 daps, and just one love and major respect to DJ Rome and the Soul Show. And to all of Long Island, Orlando, everybody listening from that follows JVC Force. Like I said, I want to say thank you. We love you before we go any further. But again, for giving this kind of platform, things has come far for a group like us to be able to come on and just chop it up and tell our story with you. This is as big to us as being on an Unsung. We took this time because you are as important to us as an Unsung. Somebody who keeps hip hop so real. So I just wanted to kind of stop the interview and just kind of tell you thank you and salute.
And I want to add, thank you for keeping the name alive. And that's what I was talking about. Like, this interview was keeping the name alive again. Like, so I see your thing at the bottom. It says where legends come. And me and B was talking about that. Like, you never see us write the word legendary before our name. Because if I gotta say I'm legendary, then am I really? Who am I trying to convince? Me or you? But when you say the legendary, you know what I'm saying? We greatly appreciate that when other people put that tag on us or whatever. And I second what B said. Thank you for keeping the name alive, because this is what this is doing right now. 33 years later, after we came into the game, keeping the name alive, yo. And you do that from what I've seen. With some of you, that's what you do. You say bring the legends. You know what I'm saying? You help them keep the name alive. So I want to give you big shout out. And I also, I have to. So I was born in Mount Vernon and I live in Mount Vernon now. So if I don't shout out Mount Vernon, I'm not gonna be able to walk out the street tomorrow. So shout out. I got into the game. I will always be grateful to Long Island because I got into the game for Long Island, but I'm Mount Vernon to my heart. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, but I gotta shout that out. I gotta go out the streets tomorrow. They'd be like, yo, dude, like, what about Mount Vernon? So I just I'm sitting in Mount Vernon right now. I just want everybody to know. I just want to give them a love.
I would like to say thank you for saying those kind words. the intent of this show, and I say this all the time and I can't say it enough, is I can't tell my story without telling yours. And my idea behind that is I'm, as a DJ, I rocked your songs back then. It's part of my story. It's part of my fabric. So how can I tell my story without inviting you guys on, without giving you the space to tell your story? Because that's, to me, what's missing in this hip hop. You know, a lot of us hear these stories about the shiny objects, but we don't know what that man may have been through, how he got there, why did he do the music that he's doing, how it affected others that may not have came. Because, yeah, if you talk to the people from Long Island, maybe that's a layup. Yeah, they're all going to say boom, boom, boom. But to be able to share our stories together, given the fact I didn't grow up in Long Island, there's, you know, you connected to people that you never met in a real way. And I feel like this show allows my audience, which is Orlando, to connect with you guys in a real way.
That's what's up, Salute.
Kissimmee.
Yes,
I want to say one thing too. I just want to say one. Oh, sorry, my bad. I didn't mean to talk over you.
Go, bro.
No, go ahead, bro.
I just want to say one thing about my brother B, yo. Like, you see groups and you see artists and the people put them together, but yo, before there was one rap spit, me and this cat was friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, he lived a block away. He was like a younger brother. He like 2 years younger. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was out doing crazy stuff, graffiti and all that stuff when he couldn't come out and all that. But yo, this dude was my friend, and our sisters was friends. You understand what I'm saying? Like like he said, I go to his mom's house anytime, just come through. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you there would never be a time. I mean, I didn't really have to do that, but there'd never be a time where I didn't have food and I wouldn't have ate because, yo, his moms would have been like, yo, why you ain't just come over here? You know what I'm saying? And same thing. If he coming through my crib, my mom's like, yo, you want something to eat? Like, this is my brother. And I think that's what I like to, if nobody get nothing from this, I mean, anything from this, it's more than just a group and it's more than just hip hop with us that bonds us. We grew up together at a young age. We were friends. And I left and I came back to Mount Vernon for high school. And then I came back again and while I was gone, that's when they started doing their thing, you know, and they started making their noise. And I came back and our friends were telling me, yo, B and them are starting to make a little noise, you know. So they got us together and brought me to a party that they were doing. And, you know, B ripping the mic and they like, yo, you need to let A on. And they let me on. And then we wasn't really battling, but, you know, I mean, B ain't gonna let somebody show him up on his set. So he was doing his thing. And, you know, I'm trying to, you know, represent. And people were talking about how great we sounded together. And the next day we decided to be group. You know what I'm saying? They were doing their thing. And it was all from a friendship. You know what I'm saying? So even without the music, like he said, he's my daughter's godfather. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, it's family. And I just wanted to share that. You know, I wanted people to hear that from me. You know, that is family, dude. It's family first. That's my brother. Yo, real talk, yo. And I'm going to tell you, your brother is somebody who holds you down when nobody else holds you down. Yeah. And, yo, I'm never too proud to say, you know, when you go through stuff. So I was going through a divorce or getting ready to get divorced. Yo, you know, that whole thing wrapped my head up. I was, you know, I hadn't seen B in like over a decade. And he knew I was talking to him. He knew my head was up. Yo, he got me out the house, introduced me to like his dudes like Majestic and all the other dudes that he was rocking with. You know, he just made sure I was straight. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, dude, he ain't owe me nothing. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, the group wasn't really doing nothing as a group no more. But he, even in adulthood, he was like, yo, that's my dude. He in a little funk right now. I got to get him out. You know what I'm saying? I gotta bring him out. You know, so he introduced me to the people in his network in Atlanta. And, you know, and I introduced him to Vance Wright, which was one of the people in my network from Mount Vernon. And, you know what I'm saying? We just linked up, you know, again. And it was like there was never no years between. It was like, it was always we was always rocking like, you know what I'm saying? So that's what happens when you have that friendship first, and it's not built on just making records together. And yeah, we as every friends and brothers, we've had our arguments and fights and the whole nine, disagreements. But another thing about this dude, when he came of age, B is always the dude who was it ain't no fun if the homies can't have none. B loved the girls and got the girl, but he always got the girls and they always had a friend. He always had a friend for you. You know what I'm saying? Like B always held you down like that. Like he was the original. It ain't no fun if the homies can't have none, dude. That was B. Yo, word up. Yo.
Well, guess what, buddy?
Shut up, nigga. Danielle is upstairs. Shut up, nigga. Danielle is
well, guess what, buddy? You're on the right show to be a human being, because once again, this is what this show is about: being human. Every other show can kind of talk about the shiny objects, but I don't give a fuck about none of that shit.
Hey, Ro, can I tell you something? Real talk. Can I tell you my brother? And I don't mean to cut you, man. But
no, you good, brother.
But I don't want to forget this. But
go ahead.
As he's really saying, I haven't seen him in like a while. Like I've been in Long Island like 4 times last year and shit. Like, cause I go up often, but I haven't seen him because he down in Mount V. But I haven't seen him in like a couple of years, like since he left Atlanta. And it's probably
7 years, yeah.
7 years since I seen him. But his daughter was over here chilling with me, and me and her was out hanging about 3-4 weeks ago, like 2-3 weeks ago.
Wow.
So that's how real it is with us. And it's like, we might not see each other, but while his daughter's in Atlanta, as my goddaughter, the realness and the trust. Who else you gonna trust besides the cat that you don't grow up with when you were since 5 years old, man? Like, there's no other chapters in your life that you have besides that person.
Right.
And our lifestyle didn't start based on no rap music. When we met, when my baseball went over his fence when I was 5 and I had to come around the corner to go get my ball, that's when I met him. And AJ was on the corner in a b-boy position like this. He ain't want to give me my ball. But that's how we became friends.
Well, I love that, man. I think that's what's needed to be discussed more often than not, because most of the time we're all talking about shiny objects. And I want to say this because just in case anyone was paying attention, I think we went about an hour and 10, and I haven't heard money or loot or green or any of that brought up. And that's kudos to what we're doing right now. We're human beings talking about our humanity and not having to talk strictly about some external fake shit that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. We're actually celebrating you guys' lives and your contribution, and who you've inspired around you, who you touched in this lifetime. And I think once again, this is what the intent of the show has been. That's the sound. That is the sound right there that needs to be heard.
I don't know whose life we touched. And I know from reading comments from like a lot of fans and different people throughout the years and even up to recent, that a lot of folks love the Jvc Force, and our songs and our music, it gave them something to go ahead and feel and believe in. And we want to say thank you to everybody, and may the force be with you. But one thing I have to honestly say is that when you're dealing with true life and you're going through the chapters of your life, you may make records with people, you may hook up with them because they compatible with you and they rap good, but through what we went through in life, there was things, even when we were turned around, we left to go on tour, we wouldn't have survived unless there was a friendship there and an understanding. With our parents all knowing each other because we lived 3 blocks away from each other, we were dropped off to go leave at 19 years old, and AJ probably was the oldest one, and we were leaving to go dropped off to go to Germany. Our parents didn't know who they was putting us in the hands of, but they knew it was something that we loved and stuff. And at the end of the day, you know, I say all of this to say is that we as people, as JVC, would have only survived with the love and the wit of each other, because truly being on the road and stuff like that, we never went anywhere. We followed basic street rules. Some of the things AJ taught me in life, taking me into Mount Vernon, letting my car get towed at a young age. Yeah, it was your fault, dude. But
I was inside the club with you.
whatever. You told me to park there, but when they towed the car and we left and we went, some of the things we learned in life was that while we're on that road and we're together, just like being on the subway when we was young, having to get to Mount Vernon to his family's house, just have somewhere to sleep because the Long Island Railroad cut off. It was like being in Germany when we were on tour and the man put us in the cab and we just wanted to go see the club, and we didn't realize that we had to write everything down in German and write down where we had to go. So we just turned around and was like, you know, we jumped in a cab and told the man, discotheque. And he took us somewhere. It was the wit of JVC and us being friends and loving each other. It took us almost a whole night to get back to the hotel in Germany. That's just a tour story real quick, but it was the love of us as a group to take care of each other. We moved through the night. We talked to cab drivers through the night, all kind of stuff to get back to the hotel safe. But it was only us. And anytime we ever went through life, we went through life, and because of the way we grew up and the way that we grew up as friends, it was always us. And we never knew nothing different. So, you know, to my brother sitting right there, man, I always want to say to him, man, like, yo, I love you, and for everything that we've been through in life. And, you know, it's never been perfect, you know, but again, there's nothing that's really been able to break our friendship. You know, even when JVC broke up, you know, we were still able to still be friends because of the values of what life was. We always knew that the rap game was manipulating us and wasn't going to really like do us right because we was fighting for too much. Our fight as a group was a way bigger fight than groups that had stuff handed to them because, oh, they was hot and this, that, and the third. We had to do way more, maybe 1/3 or 2/3 more than any average group to stay relevant without a video.
And the only video we had,
the amount of shows and tours.
Mm-hmm.
We had to play.
The only thing you can pull up now that even looks like a video was a public access show that Red Alert had, and we performed on. Somebody recorded that. That's the only like thing that actually looks like a video. Because I mean, we were in an era that every group didn't get a video. Like, you know, the top got, but there was a lot of cats that came out. They ain't get no videos. You know what I'm saying? Unless, you know, they was able to do it themselves. And that's the other thing about us. We were self-contained. Like, you know what I'm saying? There was nobody else that wrote for us. There was nobody else that really produced for us. I was basically the older dude, so I was always calling behind the manager, calling to get us on the radio, calling the label to find out why we ain't get what we were supposed to get. Like, I was always that cat. And it was like, yo, I was the radio promotion dude before I knew what radio promotion was. I was the publicist, and you know what? I just wanted to get our record on the radio. You know what I'm saying? I was the publicist before I knew what that was. We just wanted to be in the magazines to attract more girls. You know what I'm saying? It was like, you know, keeping it real. But but you know, even to the point that a German magazine flew to Central Islip, Long Island to interview us and do a photo shoot in my backyard. You know, like we really did everything together, and nobody put us together, and nobody created us, and that's what happened towards the end. You know, labels, and you know, when you start having a little bit of success, other people want to take credit for you. Other people want to turn you into something that you're not. Other people want to now bring in extra producers and extra other people that, you know, we didn't have all that, and we didn't really need all that. But you know, they wanted to turn us into something we wasn't, and we wasn't about to do some real street gangster, yo, I'll do this to you. I'm gonna pull out my gun. What I mean, we wasn't rocking like that from the beginning. And even if music went that way, that wasn't how we was getting down. So we wasn't following the trends. We never followed any trends. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Either we made it or, even if the trend was out, this is us. This was always us. 33 years later, this is us. This is us. You know what
I
I
want
mean?
to say something. I want to say something. Before this interview went down, right? We got people in the street. JVC fans are the most fantastic type
Absolutely.
of fans. It's not a whole lot of them like rap groups. Like, we don't have tens and hundred thousands of them. We have a few thousand of them that stay dedicated for 33 years and all, and do the things that they need to do to go ahead and hold us down. I want to say shout out to my homegirl Rhonda, who's probably looking right now, who actually, and when I say things about JVC Force, and AJ talks about JVC Force, or even you, Rome, mention JVC Force, the people, like I said, shout out to my homegirl Rhonda, who before this interview, she called me and she said, the whole college crew, we're going to get together, like, we're going to suggest JVC Force for Unsung. This is the appreciation of the few people. Long Island ain't a big place. What is it? Between 120 and 138 miles long, not even, maybe 118 miles long, Long Island. But this is even people that's not from Long Island, and people from like the Bronx and Queens, Staten Island and all that, take you into consideration and say, hey, you know what? We want to go ahead and put you out for some of the most accolades and start to suggest you. We want to turn around and we want to shout them out, and we want to appreciate these people, because one thing we want to mention while we are doing this interview as JVC Force, there's certain things that we have coming in the future. As you can see, the relationship is strong. There's no melting. We're not built to melt. We're not built to be destroyed. We're a manuscript. We're a manuscript of friendship, a manuscript of manhood, a manuscript of Black men. We've never turned around, spoke on each other negatively in the press or anything.
Right.
This is not who we are. But again, we have a lot of stuff that's coming on the forefront. Everything that we're doing as JVC Force, it's not our decision to do. We are strictly doing the things that are requested by the people. So if the people turn around and they fight for Unsung for JVC Force, what me and AJ is going to do is we're going to give you an Unsung.
Right.
This tonight, and I make sure I make these mentions because, again, I know we ran late tonight, and I want to apologize to all of the people for, us running late and stuff, you know what I'm saying? But this tonight is like our Unsung. When I tell you, I've done over 20 interviews probably between September last year and now. But AJ will tell you, this is the most, you see how he's showing his new watch, right? That shit new as shit. He didn't put his goddamn hand down yet. But we knew tonight. We was like, you know what? Like I told you, and the people didn't know, me and you, Rome, we spoke before this.
Right.
This was supposed to be an interview between me and you.
Right.
But this is the thing. When we talking Long Island, and we talking about the home team, again, big shouts out to, when we talk about everything we had to do in our life, and we had to do it ourselves. We had to do our own merchandising. Nothing we ever did came from labels. All our t-shirts and all. The first people to just pop up online and post a picture. Real dudes like rocking the JVC joints, like early stage Benny Serrano. We recognize everybody, and we know what everybody is doing. Like, the unique thing about this group is that we talk to everybody. We respond online. We don't move with security. We talk to everybody. If you reach out to us, we talk like normal people. But again, it's the people, and I just again, man, like I'm in my thing with like not even JVC Force, man. It's just the people the realness that's out there, man. We just want to make sure that everybody is acknowledged and understand that, you know, we real with ours. And there's things that we got coming up. We want to do all things dedicated to the people.
Well,
unique.
Let's talk about that real quick. Let's go into our breaking news segment and talk about what we can expect from JVC Force in 2021. Let's go.
Hey, yo!
Breaking news never stops.
Turn this motherfucking sound up, man. Blast this is turn the whole this up.
So you got some breaking news to tell us? Tell Orlando, tell the people them. What's the breaking news? What can we expect? What can we expect from JVC Force in 2021?
I mean, shit, first and foremost, the most breaking news that you can expect is that we're going to grow old together. we got things in order. People don't realize the way that we structure as a group. As we sit here talking all night and we say, I'm his daughter's godfather. I'm also the person in JVC that, fortunately, through all of the misbenefits that every other rap group has dealt with, I've been able to retain the archives for the group. And his daughter's going to be the person doing the JVC documentary, because who better to go ahead and tell the real story than the family? See, what people don't realize about JVC is that, no, we didn't make the same money as everybody else made, but we'll take the platinum credibility through the years. And what we do is that we give the artistry to our kids. My daughter, she draws. AJ's daughter does stories. She just did a story for Black Westchester. Go on to Black Westchester and check out the story by Paula Woodson. It's a really great story. But again, it's the ancestry that we set up through JVC. And what we do is we don't never look at the game as we looking at it for the money we can make and how far we can go going forward making this money. We don't look to exploit the game. What we do is we look to, you know, lead the game and let it be, you know, let the story be told properly through, you know, the generations and stuff. Because again, it's bigger than JVC Force. Strong Island is a name. Strong Island is a place. JVC is a group. Strong Island is a place. And still in all being JVC Force, the bigger picture is that our hit record was Strong Island. And we want to make sure that even going through the generations that, you know, the place is always represented and stands strong like everywhere else. We always want to be known as the sixth borough, because we are the sixth borough. We are the golden age of hip hop. Strong Island, bring it down from 13 all the way up to 43. Bring it.
You hear that, Orlando? You get that? Sixth borough.
We gonna be
golden age.
We got things in the works. There's people talking to us. We not nothing that I could speak about now, but it's just like, yo, we're here. You see, we're still together. There will be something coming out of this. I mean, even us doing this interviews, and again, like, shout to B, because like I said, this was his interview. I had done a few, you know, interviews too. But, you know, he was like, yo, this is our first interview in like well over a decade or two together.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've done some, he's done probably more, but, you know, we've done, you know, I was just doing a Holland radio station like a month or so ago. You know, we're still doing our thing behind the scenes. We still got that love,
Right.
you know, but and I want to say this, I just really want to be clear. My man, you said, you know, you never heard us talk about money, and we mentioned it ain't all about money. We are about our money. I just want everybody to be clear on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's not, no, I just want, you know, everybody don't call us up for something free. We are about our money.
Well,
but
I
it's
say
more
that.
about legacy with us.
Right.
It's more about legacy, preserving the legacy. Everything is not about a dollar. You know, right now, yeah, I just turned 55, like 2 weeks ago. Like,
Right.
it's about preserving our legacy. Thank you. Yeah. And as B said, my wife, that was my birthday gift to myself. I had to treat myself to something real.
Black don't crack, don't it?
Yeah. Yo, but yo, you know, again, yo, I can't say enough. I appreciate people even caring about us. 33, 34 years later, still playing our music, still calling for the unreleased album that everybody's been dying to hear, still saying where those tracks at. Like people still, what you doing? And B is right. B is like the JVC Force historian. Yo, dude is showing me pictures of that and cassette tapes of Cold Crush with my graffiti writing all over it. And I'm like, whoa, where you get that from? Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like, he has everything, not everything,
Let me tell you
everything
something.
that we've
And
ever
Ron,
done. Like, word up. Every
Right.
picture, every flyer. I had lost a lot of stuff. My mom's had a flood in her basement. Since I move around a lot, I kept everything in my mom's house. I lost mad stuff. So, but B has everything still. Yo, I was like, it just blows me away.
Wow.
So.
That's
but you know
awesome.
something? But you know something, Ron? I'm gonna
What's
tell you
up?
something. I'm gonna tell you something. Back in the days, right? You remember when an artist went into the studio, right? He wanted his cassette. He wanted his that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he wanted to. You wanted to. It didn't matter how many times you went into the studio. You didn't bring the same cassette. You
Right.
wanted the brand new cassette.
I wanted a
And
brand
back
new
then,
cassette every time I went to the studio, brother.
boy, you remember back then when we went from Irish cassettes? Remember that they used to sell at Woolworths and all them kind of things?
Shout out to Woolworths.
Right.
Woolworth alert.
Right. Well, you could buy records at Woolworths back in them days, but
Back in them days, boy.
remember times came far from the Irish cassette. They started making the little old tan-looking TDKs.
TDKs.
And then listen, and then the metal
Yes.
TDK came.
Those are
out.
Max L's. The Max
The
L's.
everyone.
Yes,
And
yes.
let me tell you something. When we talk about AJ was a graffiti artist, right? When a nigga like me turn around and buy a cassette for like $13 out of Sam Ash, that nigga right there, he the only one to write on it.
Wow.
AJ was an architectural draftsman, right? So he took these classes and he used to write his letters all slick. And I tell you how we so close is like, through the years of looking at him just like writing and looking at the cassettes that we still retain as the JVC files, because even before this interview, like we say, we talk about the kids and stuff, about 2-3 weeks ago, me and his daughter was digging through the JVC stuff, talking about documentaries and different things that we already have in the works. We won't share it until we get ready to do it because, JVC was always a group that was ahead of their time and thinking. So we still think like that. Don't sleep on us.
Right. Well,
he talked about architectural drafting. I'll tell you two things real quick. So I went to this Amityville Technical Institute. I was always trying to hustle and do something next and learn. I was in there, and 4 seats for me was this quiet kid that was kind of strange that didn't ever talk about nothing. I was a loudmouth dude. It was Dave from De La. Both of us took this class. We was in this class. Ain't none of us do this for a living, but we were both in this class. And I didn't even know that they was working on the whole De La thing. Like they had this whole thing bubbling. And shout out to Prince Paul, another cat that I knew from like 13, like way before music. There was like 2 DJ Pauls in Amityville, and he was the other one. The other one went to the military, and I knew him through my man Mike Walls. You know what I'm saying? And I knew him since I was like 13, and I knew Paul forever. Like that's the kind of thing. Like it's like relationships. I know some of these people before music, like, you know what I'm saying? And it was just like we were just brothers. We were just cool, like,
Well, I like to say to you guys, I appreciate your contributions. I'm so honored that you guys came on tonight. I think being able to tell you guys the story is not only amazing for Orlando, but it's amazing for anybody who's not from here to get more of an understanding of what Long Island meant to you guys and what you mean to Long Island. In a lot of ways that, to your point, you don't know you touched. You may not even be around to ever meet all the people you touched, but that's not why you did it. You did it because that's what you were supposed to do. That's what you wanted to do. That's what you needed to do. And the world is a better place for those kinds of decision making. Just fucking do it.
Man, Ron, you're a beast. You're
Yo,
a beast,
we
man.
appreciate you, bro. We appreciate you keeping the name alive. And for all the JVC Force fans out there, y'all are the greatest fans in the world. Y'all are like rock people. They got fans that live with them for the rest of their lives. We got fans like that. Like hip hop fans, that's not just a traditional hip hop fan. Like they're a fan of you today and they don't forget about you tomorrow and they on to somebody else. But for some reason, JVC Force has those lifetime fans that if we were in Europe just touring around for like 2 years, they would come to every show to see us perform the same songs like you would do, one of those rock groups. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, I love that, man. I appreciate that. It's all of y'all that kept the name alive for all these years, and cats like you, my man, who keep us alive like on this show and let us tell the story. We ain't did this on the radio in an interview or nothing like this for over 2 decades. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, this is beautiful. It's almost like 1988 all over again. Like it's like
Yo, Rome. You know what's funny? You know what's funny? When he talk about we don't do these interviews like this, we don't do these interviews, and we might not have done an interview together for like 2 decades, right? But we talk like every 2-3 days.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we be really on the phone, like we be on some old. We be talking for like a long, like life has not passed.
Right.
We be on some Pinky in the Brain trying to take over the world shit. Like yo for real. Like, yo.
But that was the idea behind the show, man. Because for a lot of people that are in the know, if you know, you know, right? But that's not going to work going into 2021. We need more. We need to inform people that may not know that are assuming certain things or such. And in a world full of billions of people, there's more loneliness than ever. Right. So the idea of letting people know that no, you're not crazy and you're not alone. It's okay to, like you said, love that dope, because dope ain't never changed. It's still dope. It's still weed. It's still coke, and people still want it. That's exactly what you guys are to hip hop, to a lot of people, and you have, and you should be okay with that.
We never, all through life, right? We valued the regular rules of life. Like we never really looked at money and stuff like that. We had the same rules as friends. If you didn't have no money and I had some, I carried you, but we went. If we got there and I came with you, I didn't leave without you. We followed the same rules in Long Island as everybody else followed in the city. And this is all we had to depend on between Acorn Avenue and Branch Avenue, the new development, Central Islip. This is all we had to depend on when we came into our era of music. Coming through the second generation of hip hop, we were going through the value of life where families really knew each other and trusted parents and mothers knew each other. Like he said, sisters hung out with each other. Our sisters knew each other. That's the Branch Ave posse. But the whole thing is that coming through that value of life, me and him, like I say, 50 years. We would have never got through life if we met each other like in the later stages. This is a genuine relationship between two black men that realized, like, you know what, we wouldn't have got through life unless we took care of each other. Again, we ain't seen each other in a long time right now. But this man don't feel no way when his daughter coming to see me, because he know good and well, based on the way we grew up, because of the great Long Island lifestyle and love. I'm a great godfather to his daughter. So again, I want to tell everybody, and I want to tell you too, man, like we stand strong on our pride as Long Island people, period, not just us. Our value comes from the people that we grew up around, the people that we lived around. like he said, the Carlton Dolgers and the friends and all the friends that we had growing up, the Heath Alstons and the people that I stand behind and we stand behind as JVC Force, Slangsmith Clothing, CI Brands, Brentwood people. It's a lifestyle. And again, it wasn't the same lifestyle as the city. We grew up because, you know, we had a whole different way that we lived. And I just want to say to everybody, man, like, yo, I love y'all out there at the sound of my voice, my city, the world. You know, I know AJ feel the same, but we're gonna make sure, I don't know how long this interview got, but we're gonna make sure that, you know, we shout out our city and we realize that, you know, people in our city, you know, we love them, and that's how it go down. And DJ Rome, like I said, I don't mean to push this a certain way, but tonight we already knew that we was gonna do this interview a certain kind of way.
Right.
We wasn't gonna go conform. We was gonna talk to the people. We was gonna talk hip hop. But like I say, we can go on as long as you want to go tonight for the people. But we love everybody, and we want to make sure that it's clear. We don't want to cut anything short.
Right.
You know
Well, I think you've done a great job with that.
That man right there. That man right there. That man right there. I love him to my heart, dog. I drove him to the hospital when his daughter was born. We was at the studio.
Actually, yeah, I think so.
We left Long Island City. We was in my old car, and I had to drive him all the way out to Long Island when his daughter was born. And in the car on the way, he was like, yo, you know you're going to be the goddaughter. You know you're going to be the godfather, right? We drunk in the studio just eating, because all we like to do is go to the studio and eat our food. And he get the call, and we heading to Long Island now. We peeling out. Kurt's still in the studio, like recording the track, and he gonna come after us or whatever. But me and him, I'm driving him to Long Island. He's like, yo, you know you got to be the godfather, right? And this was life, dude. Like, people don't realize, people give interviews and talk about rap and the group, but you know what? This is our life, dude. And as you can see, man, 50 years later, it's still going on strong, man. The day she started breathing, to 3 weeks ago when she was in my house to take over the documentary. This is how real our life is. Tell that story, nigga. JVC.
Yo, I just want to thank everybody. And it was a comment from a Kimberly Owens, and I want to second what she wrote.
Hey,
B-Luv is the epitome and the personification of loyalty and brotherhood. He's family. And I want to second that. And I also wanted to give a shout out to our homegirl, Margie Suarez. She's checked in. I think I said Doug McBride, Alfredo Rodriguez. A young cat in Yonkers that's doing great things, Dennis Richmond Jr. and Jesse Jazz. Shout out to Slang Smith, and shout out to just everybody who is holding us down and has held us down in our individual endeavors outside of JVC. You know what I'm saying? I got a website now, a black news site, newspaper, weekly talk show, blackwestchester.com. You know, I deal with a lot of the politics, keeping the elected officials' feet held to the fire, trying to educate our people. But a lot of people, there's a lot of JVC Force people that's still rocking with us. They rock with us in our personal endeavors outside of the group too. And that's how that's that crazy love that a lot of groups don't get. And there's groups with more money and more hit records and more videos and stuff, but everybody don't have that. So I just want to thank the fans. I want to thank my brother. I want to thank you for this dope interview. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. We're going for on and on and on forever, but I think
I want to thank you guys for coming on tonight. I think you said exactly what needed to be said from your vantage point. I think once again, and like I said before earlier, the issue of money did not come up at all. Not because people don't need money. It didn't come up because you were focused on the real things and the real stories. And I think that resonates long term. It has a deeper connection to people. People remember when people talk about things that they can understand. Money comes and goes, but people do understand friendship. People do understand the loss of people. And once again, I have to say condolences to Prince Marky
Chris
D's
Marky D.
ecstasy, and all those who we've lost this early into the year. And once again, man, those kind of relationships in which you described should be celebrated. It's Black History Month. This is time to reflect and to educate and to inform not only those that are not Black, but those that are Black, that you have a very select time on this planet. You may think you're living forever, but no one knows that. No one knows the time. And when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. So in the meantime, in between time, make sure you make it a point to be a better human being, love harder, love more. Those things pay off eternally and through other people. People remember love. They fear hate, and no one wants to be remembered as a hateful person. Just try your best. And this is one of those stories in which reminds you of a loving moment in your life. Oh, I remember I was there when I heard this. I remember what I was feeling when that song played, when that group came on, when these people said what they said. I mean, these are moments people remember. And to your point, we may not have a lot of people listening right now, but this stuff is recorded. It's logged. People can access it and hear the real story whenever the hell they want. But with that said, I gotta tell you guys.
I just want one last shout out, if I may.
Yes, please.
My new endeavor, Black Westchester, my partner in crime there is Damon K. Jones. He's another dude that's like my brother. I have been blessed to have those kind of relationships with like brothers. I've been blessed to have that. So I just want to shout him and to my new brother right here for having us on. Thank you, bro.
Hey man, you're all good, bro. And you're always welcome on the show. Anytime you guys got something new going on, please come see me. Please come tell us about it. We support you. We love you out here. Plain people in Orlando from Long Island. We don't hear enough from them.
And you know what? And you know
Orlando.
Yes,
Orlando.
you already know.
Orlando, but you know what I want to say on the behalf of this show, because you know what? I want to keep it official and let people know that, you know what, we do represent the show and watch this show. I do watch this show. And I appreciate everybody that takes the time on this particular show and any show to appreciate JVC Force. On the behalf of this show, I want to thank Thurston Howell III, who was on here.
Shout out to Thurston, yes.
He said that he really liked the JVC Force. I really like you too.
Yes.
That's my dude. That's you got skills.
This is what I'm saying to people. Like AJ said something to me the other day. You know, we stand behind this brand right here, Slangsmith. They do our JVC stuff. You know,
Nice.
We got the Central Islip art. Well, 1998. As you can see, we got the Central Islip on the sleeve. You know, this Slangsmith. This is the first dry spiff. Stretch your shirt, AJ. Show them what it do. We uniform. We got outfits. We do it ourselves. But needless to say, right? We let some Catholic school kids. We got outfits, baby.
I heard that.
But
once again, man, I want to thank you guys for coming on tonight, man, and spending time with the brother, because I think that's needed more than anything else right now. We need to come together as a community from all parts and share our stories together. And just let people know that we're not alone. It don't matter where the fuck you're from. Yeah. We're all kind of going through this right now. And let's if we got an opportunity to talk about love, let's do it. And that's love right there. Everything y'all said tonight was love, and we appreciate that.
We just want people to realize that, like, because you apart and you don't see people together, you never know their story, man. Like, do not take a story and put it together based on what you see through hip hop. I mean, at the end of the day, certain things was based on real life, and Again, we want to say to everybody in Long Island, big shouts out. Central Islip, Brentwood, Wyandanch, Deer Park, Bayshore, Amityville, Freeport, Roosevelt, Hempstead, all through Long Island. No matter where you are, if we missed anybody, Coram. It's the lifestyle that we live that allowed us to be, you know, people as we are people. And as I sit here with you, my brother DJ Roman, I sit here with my brother AJ Rock, man. You know, it's a special moment. Like I say, I love my brother AJ Rock. 50 years is more than you can turn around and say to somebody, even if we didn't work out when it comes to music, we couldn't turn around after 50 years and turn around and say, hey, you know what? We can't repair it through the friendship. There's certain things that we can't separate from each other because we know that we don't put it together through, like, you know what I'm saying, the words of God. So, hey.
Yo, I love you too, my brother. And yo, this ain't the last you're going to see of us. This is the first time you seeing us in 2 decades. This ain't the last time. Shout out to my man Rome. Shout out to everybody out there. Shout out to Rolando. Yo,
yes,
word up. And,
you already know. Old Town
yes,
Sound. We got this.
Yes,
man.
Rolando. Word up. And like I said, yo, I'm just honored to be here. I appreciate you. I'm out. That's it.
Hey, bro, love you, man.
We just said it all.
Thank you for joining the show. Give it up one time for Jvc Force. Let's go.
Jesse Jones. Peace.
Yes. Peace. Peace, my brothers. Peace. Thank you guys for joining the show tonight. You know what time it is. We bring legends here to tell their stories. Shout out to everybody that tunes in and supports. We love you guys. Thank you for the support. We appreciate all of you. We will be back on tomorrow with the Human Orchestra that Stan Lee labeled as a superhuman. My man, my mellow, Kenny Muhammad will be on tomorrow. I like to say, man, thank you, Jesse Jazz, for all your support. Thank you for supporting the show, sponsoring the show. Thank you to all my peoples in Old Town Sound, Orlando. Give it up one time. This is the Sound of Orlando show. Man, can't wait to see you tomorrow. Let's go.
Live on stage, the sound.
Orlando.
So, is they ready?
Yes.
The sound.
Orlando.